guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am sharing a quick and easy sheet pan meal that I do on the nights when I just need a quick meal to throw together. This meal is probably less than 30 minutes and it's such an easy cleanup process. You'll love it. So what I do is I use these fire roasted organic sweet potatoes, some peppers, and then I grill some chicken thighs. And I use simple seasonings such as garlic powder, this veggie seasoning, and then for myself, I try to wash the salt, and so I use this garlic and herb salt-free seasoning. I use boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I put a little bit of feta cheese on the sweet potatoes, and this meal is, like I said, usually done within 30 minutes. Quick and easy cleanup is also a part of a great sheet pan meal, so you'll love that. For the salad, you can put anything in your salad. These are just the basics that I use. I like to add peppers with the sweet potatoes. And we are going to start this at 444 and see how long it takes us. We turn our oven on high. I always cook these on a broil. Broiling saves time and it gives a nice little char that I like. So I line my sheet pans with parchment paper or aluminum foil if I don't have the parchment paper. You have to be careful with parchment paper and broiling, because if you get it too hot, the fire can obviously burn the paper. So you want to be careful with parchment paper. Aluminum foil works as well. And both options are really easy cleanup, and that's one of the best parts of sheet pan meals. So I usually start with the sweet potatoes. This brand of sweet potatoes I like because they kind of have already been fire roasted, and so I am just going to brown them a little bit more and put a little bit more char on them. And so I usually use one bag and I spread out the sweet potatoes all over the sheet pan. And typically I already have my peppers cut up from whenever I went to the grocery store. I try to already have a lot of my produce cut up, so it's easy. I put olive oil on the sweet potatoes, and then I add the chopped up mini peppers. These are mini, small little peppers that I just cut into circles. You can also use like a big whole pepper and chop it up, or you can not have peppers at all. And I try to make sure that all the potatoes and the peppers are coated in the olive oil. It's easier if you get some type of tong or something to toss the potatoes. That way you can make sure that not only the potatoes are covered with the oil, but also the paper, because it has less of a chance to burn. Slide that over, and then I start on the boneless chicken thighs. Obviously, you want to be careful when you're dealing with poultry, so I usually try to deal with the chicken in the sink, make sure I rinse it off, and I'm not cross-contaminating any of my produce or vegetables. Once I have all of the chicken washed and laid on the parchment paper, I obviously wash my hands, and then I start with my seasonings. So the great thing about this recipe is that you can switch up your seasonings all the time. Today I'm using this basic garlic and herb, but sometimes I use a teriyaki seasoning, a ginger and honey, a brown bourbon sugar. You can switch up this recipe really easily by just switching up the flavors that you use to season your chicken, so that it's not a repetitive meal, but it is an easy meal that you can toss into your repertoire every week if you like. I start with the olive oil, again, making sure that the paper and the chicken are coated, less chance of a burn. And I make sure that I get both sides coated. And then I always start with garlic powder. Garlic is just like my most favorite seasoning to cook with. You don't want to overdo it with garlic when you're broiling because garlic can burn fairly quickly. So just be mindful of that. And then I use the veggie seasoning for most of the chicken. And then for my piece, I usually try to go light on the veggie seasoning and I add the garlic and herb just to cut the salt a little bit. And I make sure that I get both sides of the chicken seasoned. So once the chicken is seasoned, you are basically ready to put both of your pans in the oven. So while the chicken and the potatoes are roasting in the oven, I take the time to make the salad. It is now about 4:50, so it took about 6 to 7 minutes to prep and put the ingredients on the pan for the sheet pan meal, and we'll make the salad while it cooks. Today I'm going to just use all 3 of the greens that I have in the refrigerator, spinach, arugula, and then a little bit of a spring mix, which is a lot of different greens put together. Again, salads, I switch these up all the time. But what I really like to do is make sure that my salad looks like a rainbow. And so I try to get all of the colors in there as much as possible. So I like to have shredded carrots. This is a staple that I usually use for all of my salads. And then for the tomatoes, I usually, I like the heirloom tomatoes the best, but those aren't always in season. And so I always have cherry tomatoes on hand. And then I also always have this purple cabbage chopped up in the refrigerator too, because again, it adds that color and it's really healthy. And then I use the last of the peppers and then red onions. Now, this salad is more for myself and my husband. My children don't usually eat it with all of these different vegetables in here. And so I usually just leave it like this. Toss it in some olive oil, add a little bit of veggie seasoning on there, and then I just toss it all together, and then I work on a salad for the kids. So I can't get my kids to eat a salad. It has to be basic though. So they like this rosemary and garlic vinaigrette and just a basic spinach, or my daughter doesn't really care for the purple leaf that is in the spring mix. So I can usually get them to eat a spinach and then either just a basic green or an arugula. And then I put a little bit of this vinaigrette on there and I toss it for them. And then this is just a basic salad for them. I also like to use a raspberry vinaigrette. They like that too. Today it just happens to be the rosemary one. Any type of vinaigrette they like. I try to keep them away from the creamy salad dressings right now. So now it's about 5:13 and dinner is ready. So that was pretty quick. You want to always obviously make sure that your chicken is cooked all the way through. I think from start to finish, I think we started at about 4:44 and it's now 5:14. So that's about a 30-minute meal. Quick and easy and a quick cleanup. And it tastes really good and it's healthy. So I hope you're able to try this meal and it works out great for you. Until next time, bye-bye.